Welcome to Mormon Book Reviews, where an evangelical encounters the restoration. I'm your host, Steven Pynakker, and look where I'm at. I'm in the Saints Unscripted studio with two of my favorite homies in the house. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
So we just taped an episode for their program, Saints Unscripted, which I think you guys all thought, and I think even the people behind the cameras think was a pretty darn good episode. Would you all agree?
Yeah, it'll
awesome.
be good.
And so we had fun today, and just as a spur of the moment thing, because I'm a fly by the seat of his pants kind of dude, thought let's just do like a little segment with my two friends here for my program. So first of all, David, I'm going to start with you, but then I want to talk to you a little bit because I want to get your reaction to the interview we just had.
Definitely.
You've been on my program.
Yes.
And I want to thank you very much for coming on my program. I think it was an important episode. And I also recognize that I've had Jeff McCullough on my program, and you've had Jeff McCullough on your program. Mm-hmm. And so now you've engaged Jeff and I, and perhaps other evangelicals. How has your experience been engaging evangelicals?
Lately, it's been great. I think, in our episode, we talked about kind of for, almost 200 years now.
Yep.
We've been kind of crashing into each other, a little bit. But I appreciated what you mentioned in our episode about, there's a lot more overlap than maybe we care to look at. But we need to look at those things. Yep. And I appreciate what you're doing as an evangelical, and what Jeff is doing, and we disagree on a lot of even fundamental things, but I love that we're still able to be civil and have a conversation and be friends, and have you on our show, us be on your show. I love civil dialogue because I think that's how Christ would do it,
Yeah.
And I think that we need more of it. So I love the example you're setting, and I hope that... there are a lot of great evangelicals out there. There are great evangelicals. There are kind of mean evangelicals. Mm-hmm. There are great Latter-day Saints. There are kind of mean Latter-day Saints. But I think that, if we can have a good conversation and we can all leave feeling edified, I think that's going to... The result of that is a lot better than just yelling at each other and condemning each other to hell.
I think it's a great point. And that's funny because I have a lot of supporters that are Latter-day Saints. And they send me gifts, they send me contributions, and I just say, if members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are going to bless me, I'm just going to receive those blessings. And a real blessing that I received today was with you, because we just met.
Mm-hmm. We did.
And you didn't know any idea who I was. And what was kind of cool... How did it feel like having this conversation with an evangelical? Probably came out of left field. You have no idea what you just ran into today.
I know. I didn't know. I honestly have had a crazy couple of days, and I did not look at the brief for today's episode, so I was coming in a little blind, and I was very pleasantly surprised by the conversation we were going to have. I didn't even know you were evangelical when I met you. I didn't know any of this, and so it was incredibly refreshing to me to have this conversation because I personally don't know many people who are evangelical. I grew up in Utah. I lived in Nevada for a few years, and some of the contact that I had with evangelicals was on my mission in Chile, and that's in South America, and in a different cultural context than here. So I didn't have a lot of experience other than what I had seen in the comments of our YouTube channel and TikTok and whatnot. So it's been very eye-opening and just so refreshing to have this conversation with you because I think there needs to be more. David said it so well. Just this open dialogue, and there are mean people and kind people on both sides. But you're an evangelical, and it makes me want to learn more about your faith and talk to more people.
Sure.
And anyway,
that's
it's just been
that is so awesome.
Incredible.
And how long have you been with Saints Unscripted?
Maybe 2 years.
And how's it been for you?
It's been so good.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Something that I kind of have always wanted to do is give a good voice out there because there is so much negativity in the world, and something that I always wanted to participate in is just making sure that there is that the people that are good are saying that are putting it out there because there's so much that's being put out there that's not. And so when I found the channel, I had watched it, and I just thought they were so cool, and I was really excited when I was able to join and be a part of it.
That's awesome. And, of course, this channel is primarily geared towards LDS youth. Is that, would you say?
Yeah, but
in a way.
We get a lot of...
We've kind of evolved
Yeah,
over
there's
the
a
years
little
with
bit of
our
everything.
audiences,
Okay.
A younger audience in general, definitely. I don't think that there are going to be too many, senior citizens out there that. There are some.
They definitely resonate with us, but a lot of senior citizens as well, who I talk to, really love our channel. They especially love the conversion stories. They like to hear people's experiences. So we definitely have a wide variety for sure.
Yeah.
But I think when we first started, or when our producers and everyone first started the channel, it was kind of probably with young people in mind because they're on YouTube.
Right.
There wasn't enough conversation from our perspective happening.
Well, what I find interesting is what I really like what you're doing is kind of what I'm doing. Is that what you're doing is you're also engaging the history of the church, and you're also talking about some of like the different branches. Because what I think what's really important, what is going on is, of course, kids are learning about the church from outside sources now, and you guys are willing to take the bull by the horns and engage some of the controversies, engage some of the maybe the histories that they're unaware of. And so, was that the original mission statement, or is it kind of evolved into that, where it seems like you're kind of educating your audience more on like the history that maybe they hadn't heard before?
I think that's been part of the evolution of the channel.
Yeah.
We started out more. I mean, neither of us were here when the channel first started, but it started out as more of a, just a fun youth channel,
just like authentic conversations.
Yeah, just kind of having fun.
Yeah.
But then we kind of saw the need for more serious conversations and engaging some of this history, and we saw that we had an opportunity to educate people about these things. So we're trying to take advantage of that.
Okay, wow, that's great. That's the thing too is. I got this other YouTube channel that I'm engaging with. It's a teenage youth channel called Fire Starters for Jesus. And I was on their program, and I told them I was going to be coming on Saints Unscripted. And I said, now, guys, I'm going to have you on my program, and so that when Saints Unscripted comes out and your audience comes out and checks out my channel, they're going to be greeted by an episode where I have a conversation with evangelical teenagers. Because my hope is to have evangelical youth and LDS youth start talking to each other.
Great,
because they're the future, but doing it in the civil way.
Yeah, and I think that they are talking to each other. I think that's hard, and like maybe if you're growing up in Utah, there are going to be a lot of Latter-day Saints that you're around. But like for me, I grew up in Oregon, and we are talking with each other, but we often don't know how to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we just mirror how our parents talked with their evangelical friends, or our evangelical parents talk to Latter-day Saint friends, which again is sometimes just butting heads.
Right.
So to be able to learn how to have these conversations is so important. And one of the reasons why I like you and your channel so much is it reminds me of this quote. I'm reading fiction more often, which is a weird thing for me these days. But in one of the books I'm reading, one of the characters says something along the lines of, I don't want to be defined by the things that I hate and the things that I want you to hate.
So good.
I want to be defined by the things that I love and the expressions of love that I have for those things. And I feel like that's what your focus is more on, it doesn't matter what faction you belong to, like let's talk about the things that we love as opposed to just making each other, hate the things that we hate,
Right.
you know what I mean?
I love it. And can I just be a little fanboy here?
Sure.
Okay, so of course when I first came across this channel, and this is before your time I believe, it was called The Three Mormons. And maybe just kind of explain to me the transition and the thought process that made the decision to transition away from, because I thought Three Mormons was like a really cool title. And I know there's others, but what was the kind of the thought process, and what made you guys decide to come up with the title Saints Unscripted?
I think the catalyst was President Nelson's counsel towards about moving away from the term Mormon and more towards Latter-day Saint. At the same time, just in a practical sense, we often had 4 hosts on the show called Three Mormons.
All right, okay.
So that was
point.
also a motivator in there.
And sometimes maybe you'd only have 2 or something.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And so we were like, yeah, it's probably time. And I remember we would have some brainstorming meetings trying to figure out a new name for the channel. And I remember offhand, Justin, who's not a host anymore, but he was a host for a long time, and we all know and love him, he made an offhand comment about a band called The Script.
Okay.
Oh,
And
interesting.
after trying to figure out a title or a name for a channel for so long, he made this comment, and I was just like, Saints Unscripted. And,
So you came up with the name.
is that right?
You can claim
That-
it, and I'll believe
All right.
you.
That's
Sounds like it.
That's what I remember.
We're on record, folks.
But Justin was the catalyst for it. Anyway, so I was just like, hey, what about Saints Unscripted? And everybody kind of thought it over, and there were some mixed reactions, but ultimately that's what we went with, and I like it.
Yeah,
I like
I think
it.
it's cool.
There's a little bit of irony there because after making that our name, we started coming out with a segment of the show that is scripted, which is the one that I do, Faith and Beliefs, where I write
Saints
those
Unscripted,
episodes.
scripted.
Yes,
Yes.
Saints Unscripted with a little bit of scripted on the side. But yeah, I think it's somewhat catchy.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah.
And kind of going off of that, one reason that our prophet, President Nelson, kind of wanted us to go more by the official name of the church is because it has Jesus Christ in the name. And we wanted to be known
Right.
by others for, like, who we worship, who is at the head of our church, who is Jesus Christ. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a really long name.
Mm-hmm.
So, hence, Saints Unscripted works really well. Kind of need to shorten that. But we still occasionally get people in the comments who... when we say like Mormon in our titles or whatever, because we're reaching a broad audience, they'd be like, "Why are you saying Mormon? Like you shouldn't be saying that." Anyway, it's kind of funny.
Yeah,
but,
it's at that balancing act you have to
we
do
gotta
because
balance that.
Mormon is just such. It's like I tell people, you change the name of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. That's like changing the name of Coca-Cola. You know, it's
No,
like
I always knew him as Motab.
yeah, exactly. So those are just kind of those interesting world that we live in, and we kind of have to, negotiate these things, and it's kind of fun. But I have to say, speaking of fun, I had fun today, both on your program, and I hope you guys had fun on my program today.
Absolutely.
Oh, we did.
That's
Most
great.
definitely.
Thanks for having us on.
That was awesome. This was Spur of the Moment thing. That's what this channel is all about. I just remind all of you, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification button for when a new episode is going to come out. Also, there will be links in the description for those of you who would like to support our channel financially on Patreon as well as on PayPal. And of course, there's the merch store, MormonBookReviews.com, where you can get some wonderful merch, including hot chocolate mugs. Not coffee mugs, hot chocolate mugs. and just a reminder, the most important thing is, of course, on Mormon Book Reviews is that all the voices of the restoration will be heard here on Mormon Book Reviews.